Hello YouTube, Sir Dragon X here. Today we start episode number 5 of our Living in Mexico No Bull series in the video coming up next. Welcome back to our Living in Mexico No Bull series. Today we have two special guests that are planning to move to Mexico. You know how I've always stressed that planning is key. So let's join these two expats with a plan on their journey to move to Mexico. Welcome back to Retired Life in Mexico. Today I have two special guests. In my Living in Mexico No Bull series, I told everybody that I was going to be interviewing individuals that live from all walks of life here in Mexico. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Today, I have two individuals, two expats with a plan that have this, how would you say, motto that if we can do it, anyone can. It's Mark and Gina. And they're actually from North Carolina. They don't live in Mexico yet, but they're planning to move to Mexico.
Yes.
I met Mark and Gina on my first and only kind of failed attempt to try to do a live stream. And I am coming back with the live streams. I do promise everybody that I will be having the live stream soon. I got a little different software, and I think I have the technicalities ironed out here. But Mark and Gina were a very unique guest on my live stream, and one of the things that actually caught my attention is that one of the things that I stress a lot in my videos is that planning is key. And Mark and Gina, let me put it this way, they do have a plan. And and I can tell you that they have a plan, and I'm very impressed. Another thing that they did was they actually asked me on my live stream is if they should start a YouTube channel. And I said, yes, why not? Yeah, would be great. And they're starting a YouTube channel. But what's unique about this YouTube channel is that normally, like me, I started a YouTube channel after I've lived here for a little bit. But these two individuals are starting a YouTube channel to actually document their journey from planning to actually moving. And then, of course, I hope we see a lot more videos of when you actually get there and actually move. So, Mark and Gina, welcome to Living in Mexico No Bull.
Thank you, Ernie. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. We're honored.
Why don't we start out by just getting an idea of why did you decide, or what prompted you to choose Mexico? Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what prompted you to do all of this?
Well, we have done numerous vacations to Riviera Maya. And one of the things that we kept coming away with every time we went down there was that the people just were so nice. And it just affected us in such a positive manner that we just were constantly going, when are we going back? When are we going back? When are we going back? And when we got back 2 years ago, she started doing the YouTube channels and
the rabbit hole.
And I got to tell this story. I honestly thought your last name was Noble, not No Bull, because I kept hearing all of the oh, this is Ernie, and this is living in Mexico, no bull. And so to me, you were Ernie Noble. But anyway, but she was over there listening to your YouTube channel and several others, and I was quietly listening to what was going on. And I'm a processor as far as is thinking things through. And finally, after giving it a lot of thought, I was like, you know what? I know why she's doing it, and I'm buying in. And it sort of was jaw dropping for her when we had a neighborhood get together and we were all out there, and the people we're with, our next door neighbor, is actually from Monterrey. And so we were talking to him, and he was talking about going home. And I said, well, we're thinking about moving there. And she sort of looked at me and went,
What?
huh? And so once we just made the decision that we wanted to go down and live there, the way we do anything, whether it's a trip, whether it's anything, is we are planners.
Mhm.
We dive headfirst into all the data. We look at everything. We want to make sure that A, it is the right move.
Mhm.
B, that it's going to work for us. And then C, we want it that it's going to be something in the long term that is going to last.
And I would add to that, probably the best way to avoid disappointment in anything you do is to maintain those expectations. And the way you maintain those expectations is you do your research and your due diligence. Honestly.
Exactly. And
Right.
I've always encouraged to do as much, you know, I joke around because I always tell everybody, and I think I told you guys on the live stream, and as I said, we did it on a whim. And when you do it on a whim, it's like I said, there was even like for us even a culture shock, um, and so we weren't as prepared to deal with a lot of things. Um, Now, don't get me wrong, it worked out great for us and everything else. But one of the things that even when a lot of people ask me if you had everything to do all over again, what would you do? And I always say we would have planned better. And one of the things that I like about what you guys are doing is you're making a plan, and a
Mhm.
very detailed one. From what we've discussed and what I can see, and actually what you sent me on your, uh, you've emailed me a couple of questions and actually kind of like, did I leave anything out? And I kind of don't think you left anything out at all.
Well, and you didn't get the entire spreadsheet. I
No,
mean,
I can imagine I didn't get the entire spreadsheet,
Got
but
most of it.
I think, even with looking over the spreadsheet, you know what? Some of the things that you guys thought about, um, you know what? Those are things that are very, very important when you move here. And I think you brought up a really good point, Gina, is the expectations. Um,
mhm.
Mhm.
when you have certain expectations, and one of the things, and I don't like to criticize or anything else, but one of the things that I've noticed with people that move down here is they have a certain set of expectations. Um,
Mhm.
what you see a lot of on YouTube and everything else oh, look at me. I'm living here in Mexico on $400 a month or $1,000 a month. And I think a lot of people get so tied into that $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month that they jump on a plane, they come down to Mexico, and I'm gonna live on $1,000 a month. But wait a second, it doesn't work like that.
Mhm.
Wait a second, renting an apartment doesn't work like it does in the United States.
No.
And one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of people get frustrated, um, with the process because it's like, oh, well, can I just do this or can I just do that? Or where's my potato chips and stuff that I usually used to eat before. A lot of things,
Yeah.
and things that are that simple can
Oh,
actually
absolutely.
can actually make your life miserable in a sense if you have those expectations. Um,
Right.
but I but I think you're totally correct that if you go into it with a certain set of expectations after doing your research, you're knowing exactly what you're expecting.
Well, and one of the things that we also are strongly looking at is that our age. I'm in my early 60s. She's in her early 50s. Yeah, I got lucky. But one of the things there is that we're also having to project 10, 15 years from now. You know, and do we or specifically me at the age of being in my mid 70s 15 years from now, do I want to be hiking up and down hills? Do I want to be here? Access to the hospitals, to the doctor's offices, all those things are going to come into play. And so when we were doing the spreadsheet, one of the things we actually put on there was walkability.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is walkable now, will it still be walkable 15 years from now? And it's not because the terrain's changing, it's because the person walking the terrain has changed.
And I can agree with you 110% because I can tell you I live in San Miguel de Allende, and it's a beautiful colonial town. Um, the architecture here, as a matter of fact, it's kind of got that Santa Fe, New Mexico vibe. I'm originally from Santa Fe. A lot of people say that's
Mhm.
probably why I moved here. A lot of artists here, beautiful city. But one of the things that and it's maintained its historical cuteness and beauty. But one of the historical things about this 1800, 1900s town that was built back then is that all the streets are cobblestone and it's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. But, and as a matter of fact, I even laughed. There's a very, I won't name them, but actually, they, the color of my shirt, they came to San Miguel. Very popular. They have over 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers. Uh,
Yep.
very popular. And they were like, they went, actually, it wasn't in San Miguel, it was in Ajijic, but all the streets are,
Ajijic.
Yes.
there was the
We
streets
Yes.
are
watched
the
it.
same. And
Yep.
and this couple was sitting there going, "Oh my God, the streets, they're not paved." And it's like I'm thinking, wait a second, they're not paved because it's to maintain the historical
Right.
significance of the town. It's
Right.
part of the beauty of the town. Now, you have a good point. Am I going to be able to walk those cobblestone streets at
Right.
70 or 80 years old? And then not only that, here in San Miguel, there's inclines. And I've actually
Mm-hmm.
had, actually, my in laws were visiting over Christmas. Um, it was a challenge to uh, take them to the Central, for example,
And,
because they're very steep climbs. And
and
so you have a
that's
point.
the and that's the thing is another part of it is, do we want to be in a casa or in a condominium? Um, and so all of these things, those are the things that we're going to find out once we make the move and we do the 3 years worth of being a nomad, of moving throughout the cities that we have pared our list down to, which is not the final list. That list could be shortened
Lincoln.
or lengthened.
Mhm.
And but that's part of it, is actually the accessibility to walking.
Yep.
Now, let me ask you
You know,
this.
and then- yeah.
What cities have you narrowed it down to so far?
So far, it is.
Give me 1 minute. Go ahead.
Yeah. So far, the cities that we have looked at are narrowed it down to starting going basically from west to east. Um, Loreto, La Paz, and San Jose del Cabo on BC in BCS. Um, Sayulita and I butcher this one badly. Hatuko.
Well,
Um, uh,
Tuco, see, yeah. You got it
yeah.
good. You did good. You
Did
did
you
good.
say Querétaro?
I haven't gotten there yet. I'm going west to east. Give me time. Um, then Ajijic in the in Lake Chapala area,
Mhm.
and then Querétaro, San Miguel, obviously,
Mhm.
Aguascalientes?
The what
and,
now?
and
Hmm?
then Veracruz, Campeche, and Merida.
Wow.
Did you say Oaxaca?
No, I didn't say Oaxaca. And Merida, for all of its charm, took some hits while we were in Isla Mujeres because several of the staff at the resort we were at were from Merida, and all they kept going was "muy caliente, muy caliente."
Merida can
You
get
know,
very hot in the
Well,
summertime. Very hot and humid. Very hot and humid.
yes. And,
So,
and I lived in New Orleans for a year, and I know what hot and humid is in New Orleans, and I can only imagine it on steroids in Merida.
yeah,
But
it probably is on steroids in Merida.
you know, so but we are going to give it an opportunity. We're going to visit all of them, and one of the things we're going to do is we're going to try and do them during the times that are probably the most challenging. Like San Miguel and Querétaro, because of the altitude, they're going to be a little cooler. So doing them in the winter, then we have an idea of, okay, is this too cold?
Mhm.
Are we looking for something warmer? So hitting the spots that are going to be the warmest and most humid, trying to do those in the summertime when it is going to be hot and muggy, and we just go, nah, this is miserable. We don't want to take a
okay.
shower, get out, and then suddenly feel like, oh, I need another shower.
Mhm.
Um, so those are the 12, give or take, that we have narrowed it down to off of all of our research to begin with. And, other things that went into play was, access to an international airport, access to a hospital. Um, Obviously, as everyone has said, the crime statistics. And we get that a lot when we have told, friends and family is, are you out of your mind? You're moving to Mexico. And the interesting thing is when we started doing the mining of all the data
Mhm.
and putting it on a spreadsheet, we live just outside of Asheville, North Carolina, which has a population of just under 100,000 people.
Mhm.
And just for comparison reasons,
Mm-hmm.
the city of Merida, which has about 1.3 million residents in the whole Merida area,
Mhm.
is 13 times larger than where we live. It had fewer homicides,
Yep.
total number, not per capita,
Yep.
total number of homicides were fewer than what occurred in the city of Asheville. And
Asheville is a very artsy location
very
as well,
bohemic.
very bohemian.
Mhm.
There's also a lot of homelessness and a lot of drug addiction. And in a 24-hour window alone, there were 4 homicides by gun.
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
and what was interesting is when we started taking out and really mining the data just to stay with Merida, what we found is that the data was showing that if you removed the number of domestic
Mhm.
violence homicides, that number went down to 4.
Yeah.
And those 4 were related to people who were doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Like property
Exactly.
crime or something. Right.
And so what it taught me was, as long as I don't make Gina mad and I don't do drugs, I got a real good shot at living to a ripe old age.
And
Don't make me mad.
actually, Mexico does have an issue with domestic violence.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of protests over the years, the last recent years, with that issue. And like you said, some of the crime statistics, when you start really delving into them, you start finding, like you said, if I'm not really stuck in the middle of all of this stuff, for example, illegal activity and that type of stuff, then I'm pretty much okay.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, just like living here.
mhm.
We haven't been murdered here. Why?
And
Well, we don't beat up on each other and we don't get involved in things we're not supposed to.
and I could probably uh, speak for you in the sense that when you go to Asheville, there's certain neighborhoods you just don't go into. And
Right.
that's what I tell
Very
people.
true.
Uh, it's the same thing in Mexico. There's certain places that you just don't go, and you just are aware that you don't go there. Um,
Mhm.
there are certain things that you do for your safety. You know, I've caught a lot of controversy because actually, I think a lot of people don't even get past the title of the video and actually watch the video. But I did a video on, is Mexico dangerous? Because there was a strip of highway that a
Yes,
lot of
the highway
people,
of death.
that highway of death, and everybody travels down this highway. And one of my issues with that was, look, I'm not telling you not to go down this highway. I'm just telling you to be aware of what is going on this highway. And if you're aware of what's going on in this highway, you're going to be more alert. You're going to stop at, for example, when a couple of people have actually uh, sent me messages, I say, no, look, you'll be fine, but just, stop at gas stations where there's a lot of people, because on that highway, and a lot of the highways, there's these desolate gas stations that, well, you could become a victim. Um, but, those are things that you could become a victim anywhere in the world if you're not practicing common sense. And,
Right.
you know, and like I said, it's just something that's, if you practice common sense, you do think you don't travel at night. That's another thing, that probably U.S. highways are a little bit more safer at night than they are here. Um, but even going down in certain parts of the United States, you don't travel at night. Um,
Right.
No,
that's just the way it works. And so I think, a lot that's blown out of proportion, but at the same time, a lot of people say, oh, but I don't have to worry because I'm safe. And no, well, you have to worry no matter where you go in the world. And
Yep.
that's just,
never assume.
never
Right.
assume anything and never build a false sense of security. Um,
Nope.
but, uh, but for the most part, I think you hit it straight on the nose. I think there's this big misconception of Mexico being something that, you talk about cartels and, the danger and all the, yeah, there was 150, especially this happens a lot on the border, not as much as the areas where you're talking about, but yeah, there was 150 deaths in 1 month. Well, yeah, they were all
Mhm.
cartel members that were, murdered amongst
Fighting
each
each
other.
other.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and then as long, now the only thing is you want to stay out of certain areas because you just don't want to be the innocent person that gets caught in the middle of one of these things. So those are the things that that's when I talk about awareness. And but I think you guys are have done an excellent job at planning and everything else. Uh, so what kind of explain what's your game plan now that you've kind
Mm.
of been researching, what's your time frame, that type
Okay.
of.
Let me take it some. So the plan is in the late fall
Mm-hmm,
to go to the consulate in Atlanta and possibly apply for permanent residency just because the expense long term is less than temporary. Um, and that's going to dictate whether we keep our car or not.
mm-hmm,
I don't particularly know if I like the idea of having an American plated car for years at a time in Mexico,
mm-hmm.
but that's yet to be seen. But if we get permanent residency, I know that we can only have it for 30 days, and that's fine. We'll just sell it, and that's more money for the move, you know. And then, so we'll go in the late fall to the consulate, and then around this time next year, we're going to come in and finish the residency paperwork at the I&M office, depending on which city we go to. but we're looking at one of the cities that has one actually in the city. So it's just easy access. We're looking at an Airbnb for maybe a month's stay.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's completed, we're going to be coming back to the United States, and that's when the purge begins. The purge. And this is hard, Arnie. This is hard because I am a vinyl record enthusiast
Mm-hmm.
with 1,400 albums upstairs.
Oh, wow.
I can't bring it with us. What am I going to do when we're bouncing around for 2 or 3 years looking for the final home with vinyl records in the heat of Mexico? What am I,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to store them somewhere for a couple of years, climate control, the whole thing. But furniture wise, we might keep our bedroom suite, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a couple of tables out of the living room. I mean, there's very few things. Our TVs, my desk that I work remotely from, and all that set up, monitors and everything, my art supplies, clothes. I don't know what else.
I get to keep my great grandmother's table. Other than
Yeah,
that, the rest of it's all hers. So.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, but we have to sell. We have to either sell everything, give it away, or put what we want to keep into storage because we're not bringing anything with us, furniture wise,
Mm-hmm.
until we find where we want to live. And then there's this. I have to continue to work because I'm 52 and I can't technically retire yet. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to be a digital nomad. So I'm going to need internet access, and I'm going to have to bring my work things with me. And I'm hoping that we can sock that money away so that we can buy a home eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that this is largely a cash society, that we're working with. So we know, we're going to have to be saving this money up and pay a huge chunk up front. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have a lot when it comes to retirement funds. And we're really going to be looking at what I earn as a consultant as I'm
Mm-hmm.
working, and his retirement until I'm old enough to retire.
And then what we make off of the YouTube channel.
Okay.
That's going to make us a
right.
boatload of money.
No.
Trust me, it doesn't make you in.
It doesn't. But hey, if a little bit comes in and we can get a cup of coffee.
Yeah, you can. You know what? I think, and my channel's monetized, but I always say it's a nonprofit because, well, and I don't want to scare you, but I'm about 15 grand in as far as my own money and investments. But that's because this is a hobby for me. So the latest, the latest, brandest, newest, not brandest, newest, the newest microphone or the newest MacBook. I go sometimes a little bit too wild, but it's more of a hobby, and it's enough to buy dinner probably, well, for my wife and I once or twice. Just the little revenue that comes in from the ads. Yeah, but
I mean,
we have a lot of fun.
Realistically, Ernie, the biggest thing is when Gina started doing all the research and watching, your channel and other channels and things like that. The one thing we did not find was anybody who was starting on this side of the border. And so that was, when we did that one Zoom call with you, that we realized was lacking is that no one was able, people were able to talk about their experience that they had, but no one was able to really show, okay, we're getting ready to go next week. This is the paperwork that we're putting together because this is what is required. And, we did set an appointment and we're going down, and then get in the car and on the drive back go, okay, this is what exactly just occurred, and this is how it went. And being able to take viewers along and to show them exactly how this was going to transpire.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And actually, to be honest with you, you see it, and you probably have in your research. I'm almost positive you've gone to all the Facebook groups, and everybody asks all these questions. And what a better way to be able to not only answer some of those questions, but to say, hey, I'm on my way to the consulate right now.
Yep.
Hey, I just got out of the consulate and this is what they told me.
Mhm.
Oh, the consulate officer was really nice, or oh, she was in a bad mood because she didn't have her coffee. Those are the kinds of things that I think that are very important. And I think you guys are doing it. As a matter of fact, one of the people that I partner with, I'm not really much in, like I said, I'm a nonprofit. A lot of YouTube channels and stuff are more of a business, and I get that. I mean, I have nothing wrong with some of these people being in business, but one of the people that I partnered with, and I don't know if you noticed, is a Mexico relocation guy. Um,
Mhm.
Yes.
and
Mariana.
Yes.
and
She's been very
Marianne
helpful.
and Mariana, one of the things that she is doing, and the reason why I actually partnered with her, is because of that. And one of the things that I was like you just said, what's lacking is that what do I do before I take off out of there?
Mhm.
Instead of what do I do once I get here?
Right.
Um, and I think you guys are doing a great thing by actually starting a YouTube channel. Um, the only disappointment that I had about your YouTube channel
Oh no.
is I didn't get to be the first subscriber. You already had 20. I wanted to be the first one. And
Oh, I'm
actually, I even
sorry.
remember I remember when you asked me and I said, "You know what? I encourage you to do it." You know
Yeah.
what? After I got off, I said, "You know what? I wanted to tell them that I'll be the first subscriber."
Oh no.
But but I
And
think
for anybody out there who's wondering where to find us, it is called Gringos Are Us.
and actually
And
I'm going to
Sure.
put a link. You have a website, I noticed
yeah,
on that, and I'm
Mhm.
going to put a link to your website, and I'm also going to put a link to your YouTube channel on the
Thank
description
you.
of this video. And I think, and I encourage everybody, this is talking to the audiences, I encourage you to visit them and follow their journey. And that way you can get an idea.
Mhm.
Everybody's journey is different, but
Yep.
at the same time, I think you can get an idea of what the process is like. And
Mhm.
then, which is also great too, is what I noticed, what you were saying, is that you're going to visit all of these different places. Then
Mhm.
you'll be able to show people the places.
yep,
You'll be able to show the process, what you're doing, uh, what you checked off your spreadsheet, or what you didn't, or what you
yep.
liked, or how you organized. Um, I think it's incredible the way you're organizing it. To be honest with you, uh, I wish I would have had those organizational skills when I moved. Um, I'm a little bit different than you guys in the sense that I spent 30 years working for the federal government. Yes, a lot of it was planning, but I spent it in the federal law enforcement field. So 99% of my career there was never a plan. You walk into work one day and
Mhm.
you didn't know what to expect because we were doing different things and things come up. So I was raised around a little bit of a different seat of the how do they call it, seat of the pants um,
Fly by the seat of the
type of,
pants.
yes, fly by the seat of the pants. So I think, but at the same time, there's a it might work in law enforcement because you don't have a choice, but it doesn't really work sometimes when you really want to sit down and make a long term plan. Um, and you know what? You have a point. I'll give you a perfect example. I live in San Miguel de Allende. One of the things that we're thinking about doing right now, actually, I was in Monterrey. I have family in Monterrey also, and I have a house in Texas that we're getting ready to sell because we rented it when we left because left so quickly. Talk about not planning, but we were lucky enough to be able to rent the house, and we're actually even thinking of taking the proceeds and building the second house in Monterrey because of all the
Oh.
medical attention. Um, you know, I have issues with, of course, I have to go to Monterrey with the cancer. Um, and then I also have a heart issue that I get checked once a year. I was probably born with it. It's nothing. It's one of those issues where you have to monitor it. Um,
Mhm.
And so we're even thinking, and actually Monterrey, where we're talking about buying, Monterrey's growing so quickly, the property value, the investment,
Yeah.
probably the piece of property will double in probably 5 years because
Yeah.
it's
Wow.
growing so quickly. So
Wow.
we're looking at it in that sense of investment and everything else. And those are things that we kind of look back and we say, well, you know what? We never looked into this. And now we're looking into, we're lucky enough that we have a house that we can sell to bring that money over to build another house in Monterrey. But um, at the same time, why didn't we think of this to begin with? And I think you
Mm.
guys are taking a perfect step to, you know what? And then not only that, but even if you do decide to move later on, like, hey, you know what? Let's spend 5 years until our health declines in the Riviera Maya area because we love the beach, but we know where to go afterwards. I
Yes.
Hmm.
think that's
No,
just,
absolutely.
I
And
think that's
and
incredible.
and one of the things we're also going to do to help the viewers is that we are going to make the spreadsheet available.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. That would be great.
Yeah.
And so
I'm still
that,
trying to determine on what level, but yeah.
yeah, so that way that people can look at what has been done and what we have mined and go, okay, this has validity, this doesn't. And you know, nothing that we do is going to replace somebody else's own hard work, because one of the things that we have found is that in doing the hard work, in doing the mining, we have found a tremendous amount of information for certain regions and certain
Yeah.
cities, and it has greatly, um, in some areas, has greatly enhanced our desire to go there. And there were some that weren't ever on our list that suddenly, as we started going through the process,
Mhm.
we went. Huatuco is a perfect example.
Hmm.
It was something that wasn't even on our radar because it was so far south and off of what
Mhm.
we were looking at,
Mhm.
and we kept.
It was an interview that Mariana had with a couple
Yes,
living there.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
Interesting.
and so
Yep.
and again, it's almost networking without networking,
Mhm.
doing YouTube, because listening to your channel, Mariana's channel, other YouTubers that we've been able to find, you know, eh, eh, the kernel that we were able to plant in an area and go, all right, now let's do our research.
Right.
And
Hmm.
we didn't do any place based solely on any one person's recommendation, but it did open our eyes to suddenly
Mhm.
go, all right, now let's investigate, let's get the data, let's look at the terrain, let's look at the local, um, customs and what's available in that area.
Right.
And we suddenly went, wow, okay, hold on, yeah, this is something we want to investigate, and it got added to the list.
Hmm.
And to her credit and your partnership with Mariana, there is a lot of information in her relocation guide that we are definitely interested in seeing.
Hmm.
So she offers a great resource,
Yes.
contacts the insurance people, all those things that we don't really have the ability to research. So
Well,
we still rely on other people, obviously, to provide that information to us. And I think that she has a great resource in that relocation guide.
no, and she does her research. Actually, uh,
Hmm.
I've got a little bit of a surprise coming up. We're actually next week. We're going to be filming. Actually, we're going to start an actual show called. Basically, it's going to be a partnership where her and I are going to come on and answer questions about different topics. I don't know what we're going to call it yet. We're still um, in the process of organizing it, but um, actually, the first show is going to be on residency and what she's
Nice.
doing and what I haven't really done it. Actually she's more of a researcher than I am, and she actually polled her groups of people from different areas from her relocation guide and everything else and said,
Mhm.
"Hey, uh, give us questions, about
Yeah.
residency or whatever, and we're just going to go over the questions and answer them." between her
Nice.
and I, because there's a lot of things, to be honest with you. Yes, I know I worked with the Mexican government a lot, and I do know a lot of things from keeping up with the news, with keeping up within the community. But, Mariana is dealing with clients every day and
Yep.
seeing what they're, what I may think of, and the other thing is, I always, I always say that the answer to everything, all your questions about Mexico, my first answer is it depends.
Mm-hmm.
There's no black and white answer. Uh,
Nope.
I
No.
might tell you that if you go to the Atlanta consulate, they're going to want $2,500 a month in income for temporary residency. Um, 2 minutes later, somebody could walk out and say, "Oh no, they accepted. They didn't accept 25. They wanted 27."
Mm-hmm.
And the one that's really up to date on that, because she deals with it every day, is Mariana, and that's one of the reasons why I want to bring that to my channel, is to make people aware of this resource, and also for us. She not only sells this guide, but the plethora of free information that she gives out is
Yes.
amazing, and the
Mm-hmm.
guide too, is very detailed. I mean, I have access to the guide, and I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you that just the contacts alone are worth
Mm-hmm. Yep.
every single penny. And then one of the things that actually I'm going to tell you guys, and the audience is, you might say, well, 300 and I don't I forgot how much it is, 399, and I think there's a for my channel there's a 10% coupon, but regardless, $400, let's say. There's some YouTubers that charge $20 a month on their Patreon, and for this quote quote special group and special videos and special stuff. And it's sort of like, if you take a year's worth of paying $20 a month, you've already
Mm-hmm.
paid $240.
Yep.
And it's for the same type of information, because part of that guide is you get access to the private Facebook group and get access to asking questions directly to the source, just like you do on most people. I'm not discouraging people not to support your YouTubers and not join the Patreons. But what I'm trying to say is that, look, if you're willing to pay $20 a month to somebody, also be willing to maybe look into paying this 300 and something dollars for a guide, which is
Mm-hmm.
forever and it's always being updated. She's consistently updating it. Um,
Yeah.
and I can't say enough for the validity of this guide, and, you know, uh, just the amount of resources that she gives just for free. And
Yes.
like you said, you watched her YouTube channel and watched an interview.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
that didn't cost you any money.
No.
No.
So I think she's a really great resource, and actually her resource is what encouraged me to reach out to you guys and say, you know what, we do need more of this. The
Yeah.
front end, not after you get here and start panicking and what do I do and how do I
What
get
do I do now?
what do I do
No
now?
habla español.
Well, we will be part of that,
Soon enough.
sometime next
Yes.
summer. And when we're sitting here going, okay, now we're down here. Now what?
Right. Well, we had a really good time practicing our Spanish with people, though.
Oh, you
Boy,
did?
that was fun.
Yes.
I am not. I mean, my favorite phrase that I've adopted is "Estoy aprendiendo." That's my words. Those are my words. But he has been really working hard at it. I'm so proud of him. And he was conversing with. We purposely tried to do everything at this resort in Spanish as much as we could.
Mhm.
I ordered everything in Spanish. If it was there for me to read, I read it out loud instead of flipping to the English part. Everyone was gracious. They were very helpful,
Yep.
reinforcing, masculine, feminine, if I wasn't saying something correctly, offering words. Was it afuera? We hardest time learning how to say outside. It took 3 days, but our hostess was consistent with us every day about asking us if we wanted to get
and
outside.
I'm almost sure they were very helpful too.
They
Everybody
were,
here.
but the hardest part was that you couldn't, because of the staff wearing masks, you couldn't see her pronounce the word.
Mm-hmm.
So if we didn't pick it up, audibly, it was okay. What was that word again? And
we learned it.
and since we were on vacation, we didn't really do the logical thing, which is go home, look it up, see it in writing, and then go, Frera. Okay,
Oh,
we got a
Frera.
Frera. But
Well,
no, I need one more Bakipani.
One thing I did notice is that you started your first video in Spanish. You were
Yes.
Hola, hola, gringos y gringas.
And I think Mark kept wanting to speak. I think you got after him because he kept wanting to speak Spanish.
Stop.
Yeah, that was something that we came up with just to sort of show, okay, look, we are the typical gringos.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're starting from not speaking the language. We're starting on this side of the border, and the journey is not only in getting there, but it's also in learning, the language and everything else,
culture,
because we don't want to become the people that are dragging the Mexican culture down.
Mm-hmm.
We want to totally assimilate ourselves into their country because it is their country. It's not our country. It's their country. And they're gracious enough to allow us to come down and enjoy our latter years with them. And the only way that we can repay that is double the amount of graciousness and pleasantries, and try to fit in as best we can.
Right. Respect the people, respect the culture. We're guests.
No, and
Yes.
and one of the things that I think you have the perfect attitude as far as that's concerned, and I always say, even myself, I'm half Mexican and half Puerto Rican, so I'm kind of a mutt, so to speak, and I'm Mexican, and I'm Mexican American to top it off. So I'm not Mexican, and I'm married to a native Mexican, but the one thing that I always say is, yes, I always give that speech about respecting the culture, and nothing gives you the right to disrespect another country and that type of thing. But one of the things that I've kind of noticed moving here that has been just incredible, because I grew up in the United States. So I'm as much a gringo as anybody else, whether I grew up in a Hispanic culture or I might be a little bit more aware of the culture or how it works and all of that stuff. But one of the things that I can tell people is that it's not just respecting a country, and it's not just, appreciating them, letting you be a guest, but it's when you get to know the people, when you get to know, it's actually a beautiful experience. And it's an experience. And that's one of the reasons why on this YouTube channel, like, you know what, I could sit here and say that I can analyze my YouTube channel. I can figure out which videos are getting all the views. And of course, it's all about, when I put out a video that someone got deported, or I put out a video that immigration, even when I was putting them out before this all happened, actually a lot of YouTubers even kind of tried to say it wasn't happening. And,
Right.
I even indirectly got called Chicken Littles by one YouTuber because they started trying to say that I was trying to spread fear. And, it's kind of weird. He's doing videos now about how you need to follow the immigration rules, but one of the things I look at those videos and 5,000 views, 10,000 views, 20,000 views, and then I look at these interviews and, there's, some of them get a lot of views, but I'm not into what gets more views. I want to show you this country and how awesome it is. And I want to show you the people that are moving here. I want to show you the culture and how awesome it is. And if you stop for a second just to enjoy the culture, it's an experience. And one of the things that I think my parents taught me in life was that, and even my wife, My wife's more of an adventurer than I am, actually. And, we love to travel. And it's like, it doesn't matter where. If we go to Europe or whatever, it's sort of like, we want to go and we want to experience everything about the culture and about the people
Mhm.
and everything else because, you know, there's two, I always say there's always, and it's a very famous saying, the only two definite things in this world are death and taxes.
Yep.
Uh,
Yes.
and, I see so many people that they come, they spend all their lives work, 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 or this, and that. And then
Mhm.
towards the end, well, I didn't get to experience all of those things. I was
Right.
fortunate enough at 52 to be able to retire. Um, and, one of the reasons why I left at 52 instead of 57, because mandatory for us was 57. But one of the reasons why I left at 52 was, okay, do I want $200 more a month on my pension or $300 more a month on my pension, or do I want to enjoy the experience of
Yep.
traveling around, of meeting new people? Um, and one of the things that I have found in Mexico, whether I knew it or not, I always experience something different and something new, and that's what's
Yep.
so awesome about this, and this
Oh,
experience that I've had, and you know, uh, I can't stress it enough that it's not just about respecting the country. It's just about, what, if you're going to do it, have some fun. And the Mexican people,
Yep.
trust me, once you get into this
They like to
culture,
have fun.
they love to have fun.
I have to tell you, oh my gosh, I have learned to appreciate mezcal.
Oh, mezcal. You know what? I was a tequila.
See?
I will tell you right now, I was a tequila person. I was technically a tequila person. I love margaritas, tequila, and we went to a mezcal tasting
Mm-hmm.
course, and I like the humid because I also like whiskey. So one of the things that I like is the flavor of the humid type of flavor. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that so the humidity, the flavor of the humidity, and uh, mezcal has that characteristic.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started tasting the mezcals, because I always thought of mezcal as homemade liquor uh, that and that was one of the misconceptions I had. I didn't know that there was an art to this like tequila. Actually, it's even from a different type of maguey plant. It's kind of the
Mm-hmm.
same process but different. And when I started tasting the mezcals, it was like now if I have a margarita, it's with mezcal. I'll
Me
tell
too.
them, yep. I'll tell them replace the tequila and put the mezcal.
Absolutely. That smokiness was awesome, but the
The
best part of
smokiness
the
and
mezcal,
humidity. Mm-hmm.
ooh, the sal de Cusano.
Mm-hmm.
Mwah. and then and then I got to try the chapulines.
Oh, you
Oh
did.
my.
And you know what?
3 of them.
I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't been brave enough to do it.
They were good. They were good.
They were too good.
Everybody tells me that. My wife keeps telling me that. Everybody tells me that, and I've been too much of a chicken to try.
Well, but one of the things that you were hitting on as far as is getting to know the people.
Mhm.
Probably the one person, if I had to put a finger on exactly what made us decide to move to Mexico,
Yeah.
was when last year for my 60th, we did 2 weeks and we started in Tulum, went to PDC, and then ended up in Cozumel. And
Yep.
we decided that for one day we were going to hire a guide and do Chichen Itza, Ekbalam, Valladolid, and
EQ.
Equil. And we had booked it
I want to say it was
with a
Soy Pasero or something like that.
yeah.
I'm going to say it wrong. I apologize.
But and something came up and she was unable to do it herself, so she sent Miguel, and Miguel picked us up, and he is probably more responsible for our love
Yep.
of Mexico than any one person. He was the most gracious, enjoyable, and we spent the entire day with him. And when we went to Chichen Itza, he turned us over to a guide that he had selected. And shame on me for not remembering this gentleman's name, but the pride that he exhibited in pointing out all of the uniqueness and that the Mayans had done in building Chichen Itza and all of the intriguing aspects of that site, and you could see his chest swell
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
Mayan pride of remember this was done long before anybody
Right.
had calculators or this or
Calendars.
calendars,
Right.
astrological charts, and he put it
Amazing.
all through it
Yes.
and turned us over back to Miguel, and Miguel took us to Valladolid and was like, my wife wants me to stop to get beans. Do you mind if we stop at the Mercado?
We're like,
We're
no.
like, no, absolutely. He goes, I think that this would be very interesting for you to see. And he was 100% correct.
Fascinating.
And we're walking through it, and the entire day spent with him just cemented the love of the Mayan culture and the Mexican culture. And in analyzing it, like I said at the beginning, is I'm a processor, and I had to process it all out. I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm going, granted, the entire country may not be 100% full of Miguels, but in all of our dealings with the locals and the Mexican people, we have found that to be the rule versus the exception.
Yes.
And every time we've gone back, it just gets reinforced more and more. And that is what really was the deciding factor for me anyway, was do I want to live up here where right now everybody wants to tear each other down, or do I want to go someplace where people speak to one another and people are nice and friendly, and as you said, they love to have fun.
And family is important.
And very humble. I used to do,
Mhm.
prior to my cancer and everything else, I was into jujitsu. And one of the and actually I spent close to 20 years in the martial arts. And one of the things in the martial arts that you learn is to be humble. One of the things you learn in jujitsu when you first start is it really humbles you really quick. It's a very steep learning curve, and you get beaten up at like in 2 seconds, and you don't really even know what happened to you. Even continuing on with your jujitsu journey is very hard because there's a saying in jujitsu that you leave your ego at the door. When you step into the gym, you leave your ego at the door because there's no egos in here. And then there's another saying in jujitsu that says that there's no losing in jujitsu. When you fight somebody, you either win or you learn.
Yes.
And that's something that's the attitude of being humble. Sometimes we get so caught up in our ego, and even if you look at you look at Buddhist philosophy, they talk a lot about the ego. And if you look at the culture here in Mexico, not only are people nice, kind, but they're humble.
Yes.
And everybody from and we have a timeshare in Cancun, so we go to Cancun a lot. Um, and everybody from the hotel staff and we also, this place that we have a timeshare also has a building in Cozumel. So sometimes we'll go to the local beaches there in Cozumel and spend all day. They have these little private beaches with restaurants.
Mr.
And
Santos.
And I think I've been to that place.
We love Mr. Sancho's. Give him a
Yeah.
plug. Thumbs up.
Mr. Santos, yeah,
Yes.
it's an awesome place. I've been there.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, the people there are just very humble and
Yep.
very. It doesn't matter who you are, um, how important you are, how less important you are. You know, the Mexican people are very, very humble and very accommodating when it comes to that. And you know, it brings back myself to even the Spanish part. Like you guys were saying that you practiced your Spanish as much as possible, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but just the fact that you were practicing and having fun and doing it, and probably the staff that was helping you, they were having just as much fun helping you out as as you guys were probably having. And you know what? And that's what's the beauty about being here. I can tell you that, you know, and in my last interview, I was talking to somebody from San Miguel de Allende, and I said, you know what? It's beautiful because I go to a restaurant and people can come up to talk to me, and that's something that doesn't happen in the United States very often. You don't go up and
No.
talk to a stranger,
No.
and it happens here. I mean, even amongst I've run into people that have watched my videos and that come up to me and said, "Hey, you're the guy that does the videos," and you won't see that in the United States. Honestly, to be honest with you, normally in the United States, it's like, "Oh, hey, there's that guy that does the videos. He's over there, you know, but don't talk to him, you know." But because I don't know, it's just we have that habit in the United States, of not being as open. Uh, but like I said, I think you guys are doing a great job at
Thank you.
at planning, and I really do wish you luck. I usually hold this to 30 minutes, but it's been a fun hour, and I think it's
Thank you.
important. And actually, you guys are very interesting, and I think you doing that YouTube channel, I'm gonna be your I'll be one of your number one fans. I
Yay.
promise. And I'm gonna be following you guys on YouTube. And also not only like I said, I'm looking forward to following your journey, but even your journey afterwards. Um,
Oh, absolutely.
and keep it
Yay.
up. And I will definitely be leaving a link because you guys need to visit these guys on YouTube and their blog because they also set up a website. And I'm going to leave links in my description, so that you can follow them. And they have the right thing going because they are expats with a plan. And
Mhm.
I really did, and I made sure that I put it on the bottom. If they can do it, anyone can.
You
And
can
these two,
too.
and you can too. And well, actually, I got the quote wrong. You actually put you
It's
can
close
too,
enough.
but it's close
I
enough.
can do it. Anyone, it's fine.
But
Thank you, Arnie.
thank you very much for giving me the honor of being able to interview you guys. And actually, you know, the honor is mine being able to talk to you guys and bring you guys uh, onto this show that I've started, kind of sort of, and on this series because I think it's very important. And um, you kind of filled a piece of the puzzle. I think about a week ago when I contacted you, you know, the goal of this show was, oh, I'm going to bring, you know, the last interview was a medical student that came here. You know,
Mhm.
I not just retirees. I brought a digital nomad on, younger people on. I wanted to show everybody that's coming. And then I thought to myself, wait a second. I had remembered you guys from my live stream, and I said, wait a second, but I also should be featuring people that are planning to move here and how they're doing it. And so I got the perfect people to do it. So I reached out to you guys. So I really
Awesome.
thank you for obliging me and actually in this last minute thing, in interviewing you guys. And good luck on your journey. And I will be following you guys. Keep in touch. Um, if you
We will.
when you do make it to San Miguel de Allende, I owe you
Mhm.
a mezcal.
Mezcal.
There's a place here in San Miguel that we love to go to. Awesome view. They make one of my favorite drinks. It's a mezcal with tamarindo and ginger. And it is the
Mm,
most incredible drink. And then they make this sushi. I don't know. I think I've
mm,
posted pictures on my Instagram where they put a piece of coal and romero in the inside, and then they cover it, and then they open it up, and it's smoked. But the sushi gains the taste of the herb and the of the smoke.
smoke.
So definitely, when you guys
Fun.
come down here, I'm gonna have to take you there.
Yay.
We look forward to it.
Yes. Sushi. Mezcal.
All right. Well, thank you for
Mr.
your
Noble.
yeah, exactly, Noble, Mr. Noble. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for being on the show. And we'll definitely be in touch.
Our
Awesome.
pleasure, Ernie. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this interview and gained some tips and tricks if you're planning to move to Mexico. And don't forget to follow their blog and their YouTube channel, which I will be leaving links in the description below. So stay tuned for more, and we'll see you soon.